So good to be seen, and it's even better to see you. What's going on? Welcome back to yet another video. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing what I wholeheartedly believe to be the very best hybrid photo video cameras for anyone wanting to get into wedding photography and or videography. Now, before we begin, a couple of disclosures. Number one, this is very early into 2025, which means this is subject to change based on cameras that might be succeeding the ones that I'm going to be mentioning in this video. Number two, nobody paid me to say this. These are just my heartfelt thoughts about these ecosystems. And number three, it's not going to be the flagship, and it's definitely not going to be the entry-level versions. This is going to be a middle-of-the-road prosumer camera that, when paired with really good glass, is going to provide some excellent results, again, for people wanting to shoot weddings in both photo and video formats. Now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the computer and discuss the very first one, which of course is my personal favorite, the Canon R6 Mark II. Now you might be wondering, why aren't you recommending the R5 Mark II? Well, it's because I think it's, in general terms, a little overkill. 45 megapixels is great to have, but not necessarily. And moreover, it features CF Express cards, which in turn is going to add another expense, as well as the fact that a 45 megapixel sensor is going to inevitably increase your storage needs, which in turn results in a lot more expenses. So keep that in mind. And that is the reason why I think the R6 Mark II still into 2025 is the best money can buy camera for the Canon ecosystem. Features a 24 megapixel CMOS sensor. It has external 6K downsampled into 4K. It can shoot 12 in mechanical. It can shoot 40 in electronic. The EVF has 3.69 million dots and is OLED. It has dual UHS SD cards for redundant recording and peace of mind. It could do 4K 60 10-bit internally in C-Log 3. Features the second version of the dual pixel CMOS autofocus system, which obviously made Canon very famous. Has 5 stops of image stabilization built into the camera. Has a 3-inch very touch screen, LCD, I should say, and also a multifunction hot shoe with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled. And so I think that still in 2025, this is a workhorse camera ideal. It's not amazing at any one thing, but it's great at everything. And so that is my choice of camera for 2025 when it comes to shooting Canon. Now, moving on to Sony, and we're going to be inevitably talking about my second shooter's preferred body, and that is, of course, the Sony A7 IV. Now, this came out shortly after the R6 Mark II was announced and is a direct competitor to the Canon ecosystem. It does feature a pretty nice bump in resolution with a 33 megapixel sensor. It can also shoot 4K 60, albeit with a little crop in 10-bit. It can have ISO up to 51,200. 3-inch vari-angle touchscreen as well. It does have something nice for you video shooters, and that is focus breathing compensation. It also shoots with creative looks and a soft skin effect. The 5-axis image stabilization is very comparable to that found in the R6 Mark II. And it can also have streaming via UST Type-C. So if you can use this as a live streaming camera, all the better. So that is my choice for camera when it comes to the Sony, if you're gravitating towards that ecosystem. The third camera on my list comes by way of Fuji. Now, I was a little bit on the fence about recommending the X-T5 because it's been out for a while and it has had sort of like, not a successor, but a different sort of camera that is better suited for people wanting to do hybrid coverage, and that is the X-H2S version. Now, this camera is also a workhorse if you're gravitating towards the Fuji ecosystem, and it features a 26 megapixel APS-C X-Trans stacked BSI sensor. Now, I think that complements well with the fact that this is the only APS-C camera that I will be discussing in this lineup, but very formidable nonetheless. It can do internal ProRes recording at 422 with F-Log2, by the way. It has a 5.76 million dot OLED EVF. It can do 40 frames per second in electronic, 15 in mechanical. ProRes and Blackmagic RAW are available via HDMI output, but internally it could actually shoot 4K 120, 6.2K in 30 frames per second, and even 240 frames per second in full HD 10-bit video. It features more stops of in-body stabilization with 7, also has a 3-inch touchscreen LCD, and up to 425 hybrid autofocusing points featuring AI subject detection. This camera does feature a CF Express Type B, so if you don't have any, you're going to have to pop for those as well as a reader, so keep that in mind when considering Fuji. But nonetheless, this is definitely the body that I would gravitate to if you're looking to get into Fuji wedding photography and videography. And last but not least, we have Nikon, who is doing amazing things with their Z-mount system, and it's no exception on this one. The Z6 III is the camera that I would recommend if you want to shoot Nikon. It features a 24 megapixel partially stacked CMOS sensor. It can shoot 6K, 60p in NRAW, 6K 30p in ProRes RAW, up to 20 frames per second in RAW and 60 frames per second JPEG if you want to go that route. Features 493 points of autofocus with subject detection in AI, CF Express Type B and SD card slots, so keep that in mind for that combo. It has their newer X-Speed 7 image processor, a 4K 120, Full HD 240, and slow-mo video. It has a blackout-free EVF and a 3.2 4-axis tilting touchscreen, which is a lot better than their competitors. And last but not least, it can do camera-to-cloud direct connectivity. So when it comes to Nikon, I think this is the camera that I would recommend. Moreover, this is the camera that I would recommend even over the other 3s that I've discussed in this video. So there you have it. Those are the cameras that I recommend in 2025 if you want to get into wedding photography and or videography and you want a workhorse camera that will get the job done. Now, my question to you is, which of these cameras stood out the most and which one are you gravitating to? Let me know down in the description. And while you're down there, click on the link that I hooked you up with so that you can enjoy Aftershoot for an entire month for free. Go crazy, go to town, and I will see you in the next video.